Here's what leads this hour on all angles. Former Public Protector Thuli Madonsela's appearance at the Section 194 inquiry looking into a successor, Mkhwebane's fitness to hold office, has been delayed. That's because Advocate Dali Mpofu raised concern, or what he calls pain on their side, following what he calls unfairness by the committee. Previously, Madonsela refused to appear before the inquiry, saying her presence may not be of relevance. She, however, agreed to testify, and that's supposed to be today. Let's go to eNCA's Heidi Giokos, who's been keeping an eye on the story, and she joins us now for the latest from Cape Town. Heidi, I'm very confused because yesterday it was discussed that the program would continue with the testimony of Thuli Madonsela today. My understanding was that Mkhwebane's legal team was the one that summoned her. So what's this about? Who will lead her?
Yes, certainly. I think there is much confusion as to what exactly is going on here. There has been quite a significant delay in this proceedings taking place, and we do understand that there's now going to be a 30-minute break. We are set to resume at about 11:15. But the gist of the matter is the fact that you have Senior Counsel Dali Mpofu, who represents Mkhwebane, indicating that they were not happy with the fact that Mkhwebane and her whole legal team were excluded yesterday in a decision to make sure that Thuli Madonsela appears before the Section 194 inquiry. Dali Mpofu indicating that this has caused a lot of pain and has basically violated Mkhwebane's rights in being excluded in all of this. But for context purposes, Masego, it's important to understand that the committee and members of parliament deliberate on committee issues. Dali Mpofu as well as Mkhwebane are not members of parliament, so a decision that is taken by the committee doesn't necessarily need to include the presence of Mkhwebane or Dali Mpofu or her legal team, but rather they need to be informed of this. It was scheduled about a week ago that Thuli Madonsela would appear before the committee, and it was scheduled for Wednesday and Thursday, which is today and tomorrow. But now, in a twist of events, you have Dali Mpofu saying, this is not my witness, I'm not going to lead the evidence for Thuli Madonsela, yet Dali Mpofu and Mkhwebane's legal team requested for Thuli Madonsela to appear before this committee, and the impression is that they were going to lead her as their witness. And you have evidence leader Advocate Bauer saying, this is not our witness, we are not going to be leading Thuli Madonsela. So there's much confusion about who is actually going to lead Thuli Madonsela. But I want us to listen to some of the issues that were raised by Dali Mpofu to the committee chair this morning.
Chair, we received your letter. I don't know what time, but sometime overnight yesterday, and I think after that, then we also had occasion to watch the proceedings from yesterday, and therefore we have been instructed to just respond to both the letter and those proceedings. Chair, I think I must just say that both the letter and your proceedings were received with a lot of pain by our client, because and also watching what was being said about her in the YouTube broadcast, from which we were once again excluded from the discussions. And so we were helpless as we watched the rules of the committee and the directives being violated left, right, and center.
So Dali Mpofu is saying that his client, obviously being the suspended public protector, was in pains receiving these letters last night. But you're confirming that there was a decision made in Parliament that Advocate Madonsela would appear today over a week ago. So are they saying they didn't receive this letter and therefore this whole process would be unfair?
No, so essentially what happened, Masego, is that earlier this week, if I'm not mistaken, on Monday, a letter was issued to the committee that they were requesting for the committee to consider the rescheduling of the appearance of Thuli Madonsela. And they just felt as though they needed more time to deal with the evidence and the statements that were going to be presented by Thuli Madonsela. That particular matter was then dealt with yesterday after proceedings, and the committee felt as though there was already a decision taken to make sure that Thuli Madonsela appears on Wednesday, which is today, and tomorrow, and they want to stick to the initial program. And I think this all stems from the fact that this committee is way overdue. They were supposed to have completed proceedings and hearing evidence from witnesses some time ago, and this has taken months for there to be some kind of conclusion and for this committee to actually end its proceedings. So the committee doesn't have much time. They need to finalize and wrap up things, and I think they are worried about the fact that if there is any kind of further delay, it's just going to further throw out the deadline for this committee to finish up its work. So this is why they made the decision to stick to the program, and there was a request from Dalian Mpofu, which he is representing Mkhwebane, to rather reschedule. He also did mention today before the committee and to the chair that he didn't ask for Thuli Madonsela not to appear. He's just rather asking for the witnesses to be swapped out and for her not to appear today and tomorrow, but rather at a later stage, because they feel as though her appearance and leading evidence for Thuli Madonsela is only going to do a disservice to Mkhwebane. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens and whether or not she will be presenting today her evidence and who's going to lead that evidence, because Dalian Mpofu was saying it's not our witness, and the evidence leader for the committee saying it's not our witness either.
So basically Dalian Mpofu is saying that he'll only accept her as his witness if her testimony is just rescheduled for a later date and he's been given time to prepare.
Yes, exactly. So I think he's basically now asking for some time to possibly go through the evidence and basically and very likely to prepare for Thuli Madonsela as her as his witness. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I'm not sure if I'm hearing correctly if the committee is currently sitting. I'm just hearing something in my ear, but I do understand that we are expected to be back at past 4:15, Masego.
All right, just very quickly, Heidi, I know that Madonsela is supposed to do her testimony virtually, so she's not physically there. But when she was summoned, she said she'll only appear there if the legal team of the public protector pays for her legal fees in terms of this particular hearing. Was this situation sorted out at any point?
Yes, so again, for clarity purposes, we do understand that Thuli Madonsela did indicate that she doesn't really see the relevance of her being here at this particular inquiry, and this is why there was some kind of indication that she might be subpoenaed to appear here. But in the end, she decided to be present here and to appear before the committee, so she was not subpoenaed. Therefore, the request for legal fees and any other kind of fees, assistance with that, falls away because she decided to appear here and she was not subpoenaed.
All right, Heidi Giokos with that report and some clarity. Thank you. Let's leave it there for now. I think we leave Heidi with about 5 or 6 minutes to be able to just head back inside. And then we'll hear whether or not Advocate Thuli Madonsela will actually take the stand today at that impeachment inquiry.